What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back in with a new video. And today we got some pretty big news out of Capitol Hill. And guys, it seems like it's kind of official. Speaker Kevin McCarthy and President Biden have seemingly struck a deal related to the debt ceiling. As many of you know, there's been much debate on Capitol Hill about what should the debt ceiling deal look like. Should we even go through with it? Which, obviously, yes, because if we don't, the United States could potentially default and all that other stuff. That wouldn't end well. But still, many people are expecting significant change to happen since Republicans kept the House, or I should say flipped the House last fall. But with that being said, however, and things could theoretically change, that's possible. However, the deal Republicans got was a complete and total failure. Don't let the people on Twitter fool you. The Republicans got rolled. Oh my gosh, we didn't let the United States default. That's a victory. Congratulations, you did the bare minimum. And what did you get out of it? Virtually nothing. Let's be real here. Biden was not going to allow the country to default. So it was stupid to just bend the knee this easily. And people are saying this is great news for compromise. What was compromised about this? What was? What did Republicans really get out of it? Now, before we continue with today's video, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the Twitter accounts in the description down below. Guys, go follow Real American Politics on Twitter. It's a great Twitter account everyone should follow. Of course, follow the Rumble page for exclusive content. And of course, join the channel today. Guys, just for $3 a month, you could join Real American, which is a phenomenal deal, as it helps support the daily content we all know and love. You love the daily content? Well, this is the best way to support it. So I hope and recommend you join the channel today. Alright, everybody. So, Kevin McCarthy and President Biden appears to have made a deal with each other about the debt ceiling. And again, the debt ceiling has been much debate because, how much should we raise it and what should change when it relates to the budget. And let's be real here. Republicans had the leverage. The polling we had show majority of Americans would blame Biden if we default. The vast majority of Americans want cuts to this budget, etc., etc. So guess what? You know what Republicans got out of this? The table scraps. The absolute bare minimum we got. It was a colossal failure by McCarthy, which is sad because he's been a damn good speaker. But this is so far his first significant L. The debt ceiling deal that Biden and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy struck late Saturday is a true meet-you-halfway compromise between the stark ultimatums the leaders have issued for months. That's bull. Let's read at what the Republicans got out of this. The deal would tighten restrictions for the SNAP food assistance program, as well as emergency cash aid known as temporary assistance for needy families. Okay, but what does that mean? New time limits will be phased in for people without children up to the age of 54 to receive food assistance under SNAP if they do not complete certain work requirements. Under current law, those time limits only apply to people up to 49 years old. Those expanded limits will sunset in 2030. So one of the biggest things we wanted was reform to welfare. This was easy. This was such an easy thing you could have done. You couldn't even do it correctly. So guess what? The welfare reform, you go up from 49 to 54. Up 5 years. But it ends in 2030. So after 2030, it'll just go back to what it was. You see my problem with this? It's 7 years of a slight improvement. Nothing serious. Democrats secured some exemptions for homeless people and veterans, but the move will still enrage a wide swath of congressional Democrats, especially key progressives who pleaded with House officials in recent days to reject any concessions for aid programs. Yes, it was good. This is called compromise. The Democrats, they get exemptions for veterans and stuff, but we should have got more. Real compromise would have been stricter requirements, not just up to 54. Right? Make it like 60 or something like that. Have some serious work requirements, and don't sunset it in 2030. Then this would have been an absolutely fair deal. This would have been fine if it was, up to slightly older and it didn't have the sunset provision. It was a scam. And also, it didn't even expand for Medicaid. One of the bigger contentions was Medicaid, to have more work requirements. Republicans also pushed to include new work requirements on Medicaid, but the White House made clear early on it would not negotiate any changes to the program, which is like, why? If you're on Medicaid, that's not the same thing as Medicare. Medicare is for those that are older, they're retired, yada yada. Medicaid is helping those with health care that are poor. There is a big difference. You should, if you're able-bodied, have to work for some of these welfare programs. I don't get what the big deal is. And this is the major thing Democrats were complaining about. So, no, they didn't lose. Oh my gosh, the age went up 5 years, and those limits will go away in 2030. Energy permitted. The deal also appears to offer no major advances in one policy issue where both Democrats and Republicans have hoped to find agreement, speeding up the process of issuing federal permits for energy projects. Really? Nothing. Are you freaking serious right now? We got nothing when it relates to energy? You're telling me you couldn't make a deal about nuclear energy? The bare minimum. Everybody outside of some lunatics, they all want nuclear power. It's one of the best and cleanest forms of energy. We couldn't even get that. So no serious changes to energy. That's strike two, McCarthy. COVID aid clawbacks. The deal would take back billions of dollars in unspent COVID relief funds Congress has doled out since 2020, impacting a wide range of current and future health efforts. Democrats recently warned the cuts would hurt vulnerable populations particularly hard, including veterans and tribal members, and undercut efforts to prepare for future pandemics. So this is the only good thing that McCarthy got out of this. That they did claw back some of the money from COVID. So some people have to pay it back and stuff, which is fine. But what does that have to do with HIV and STDs? This was clearly for COVID. So I'm glad McCarthy got this. That's another thing, bare minimum, but at least this is passable. That's fine. And this is where we get to the really stupid parts. You remember how Republicans ran on, we're going to cut the IRS funding because Democrats expanded it by $80 billion? Well, guess what? A portion of the $80 billion in funding Democrats pushed for through the IRS last year would be clawed back. Guess how much a portion is? Under $2 billion. You know what that means? $2 billion divided by 80. Well, you know what percent that is? That was cut from this $80 billion that was increased last year? 2 divided by 80. 2%. 2.5%. You had a 2.5% cut to the clown IRS stuff that happened last year. When you promised around $70 billion. What's the freaking difference between $78 billion and $80 billion? Whoop-de-frickin-do. When it comes to the federal government, that's nothing. That's strike three, McCarthy. Just these three things alone. The work requirements, the energy, the IRS stuff. But it gets worse. The spending caps. For Republicans, the 2-year budget accord is a far cry from the $130 billion in spending cuts the party first sought for the coming fiscal year and fails to limit spending for a decade as many of the GOP lawmakers wanted. So guess what? Not only didn't get the work requirements, we didn't get anything with energy, we didn't cut the IRS stuff. All we did was we quote-unquote paused spending for 2 years. You heard that right. We paused it. Record spending instead of cutting, we just paused it. Defense funding will be capped at Biden's budget request at $886 billion, about a 3.5% increase. So the defense funding went up $80 billion. But, we're cutting the budget. Veterans Medicare would also match the president's request at $121 billion in fiscal 2024. And non-defense spending would increase by 1% in 2025, followed by years of non-enforceable funding targets. Congress would have to pass all 12 of the annual funding budgets by the end of January, or face a stopgap funding patch that cuts spending by 1% across the board. And you heard this right. This caps it at January 1st, 2025. You know what that means? This deal lasts like 2 years. And Democrats get a second shot at it because it's right before potential Republicans get a majority in the Senate. Right before. So not only that, the Democrats get another shot at this. That's strike 4, McCarthy. We're past baseball standards. It just, what? And the student loan stuff. I mean, it's just bizarre. Conservatives have been trying to use the debt ceiling to force the White House to retreat on Biden's plan to cancel up to $20,000 of student debt for tens of millions of Americans. The deal reached Saturday would leave that program unchanged, according to a person familiar with the negotiations. Another big thing, the student loan stuff. Nothing changes. In fact, if I read this correctly, the agreement does codify the law, the Biden administration's plan to end the ongoing freeze on monthly student loan payments and interest at the start of the summer, according to a source familiar with negotiations. The Education Department had previously been preparing to restart payments after the start of September. But here's the thing, though. You go down here, the deal would not go that far, protecting the agency's ability to pause payments at the event of future emergencies, according to a person familiar with negotiations. So this means, sure, they're going to allow the get rid of the spending freeze when it comes to interest payments, but guess what? They still got the power to do it. They're going to codify the law where the Department of Education or whoever's in charge of it, I don't know exactly, they can pause the payments whenever they want. That's strike 5, McCarthy. So of the 6 major things, only one was deemed passable. The COVID stuff. And even then, that's like the bare frickin' minimum. How do you script even the work requirements? I wouldn't be that mad if we got work requirements and energy. If we got 3 of the 6, I would have been fine with it. That's called compromise. What we just got here isn't. There's nothing here about compromise except the COVID stuff. That's the only thing that I see that was somewhat of a W. McCarthy, you've been a good speaker, but man, this is an L. Now, I'm not saying motion to vacate just yet, but if no significant amendments happen to this budget, there should be some serious questions about McCarthy now. And for those praising it, no. What if this was a victory? Name one of these things outside the COVID stuff that was a victory. The work requirements did the bare minimum. Energy, nothing changes. The budget, it went up. The IRS didn't change. Student loans, apparently it's codifying the crap. So they can do whatever they want. Or I guess it is actually they can actually still do it. I don't think it's codified, but still. What are the 5 of the major 6 things Democrats won on? Oh my God, they agreed to codify the law that's going to end the freeze on monthly student loans. Okay, but they can still freeze it whenever they want. It just, whoop-de-frickin-do. Slight changes, but it's still 99% trash. Hopefully, somebody like Bob Good or Lauren Boebert or somebody stands up and say, this is garbage. And some of them are. I saw Dan Bishop saying, we're not agreeing to this. So hopefully the House Freedom Caucus in particular holds the line and tries to kill this in committee. Actually, can they kill a committee? Now that I think about it, I think they could, but hopefully somebody kills it somehow because Republicans, this is not what we needed. We need a serious victory, especially when it relates to energy and work requirements. The bare minimum, and you couldn't even do that. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the Twitter accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Thank you so much. Godspeed to all of you.